Hello Epic 7, and welcome to my video about the new mode Rift. Sorry this video is a little late in coming. This is a lot to unpack. This event is not easy, is not free-to-play friendly. I will do my best to give free-to-play players access to this event. It's a little bit unusual in that the more you do it, the easier it gets. I should say the more you level, the easier it gets. But leveling comes at a pretty high stamina cost. This event does last from somewhere between 4 to 6 months. I suspect that all depends on how quickly they can develop the new one. And also it comes with a brand new pet. If it wasn't bad enough to make a system that's relatively unpleasant, they force us back into doing a system that is really unpleasant, and that is the pet system. So, hopefully you guys have some saved up tickets. I only had about 100, and I did not do terribly well with that 100 pet tickets. I do have 10 left, so I will show you the basics of how to get a good hunt pet, or a good Rift pet. First you go to the Adopt tab, and you do your summons. And ooh, I got an S. Be a Rift, be a Rift, be a Rift. Oh no, it's a lobby pet. So yeah, not a Rift pet. But don't despair. This doesn't mean I have no chances at getting Rift pets at high levels. What you want to do is pull up the pets that you just summoned. Now let me sort here. So we'll sort by acquisition to find the ones that we just recently pulled and pick the first non-lobby pet. So here's one that does not have a Rift skill. So what I do is I level it. It takes 6 of these coins to level. And then I'm going to combine it with another pet that is not a Rift pet. We'll check the skills real quick to make sure this isn't a Rift pet. In fact, I know that one is. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, so we check the skills to make sure it's not a Rift pet, and you just combine it without selecting any skills, and you get 2 brand new skills. And as you see, I wound up with a C grade Rift skill. Ideally, you do this over and over again, and you hopefully get an S pet. Here are 2 skills that aren't Rift pets, so we combine them, and boom, we got an S one, but unfortunately it was not for Rift, it was for Spirit Altar. But this shows you how you can get S rank skills by combining pets, and it costs nothing but some gold. If you sell those 2-star Rift pets, you get 8 coins back, and it takes 8 currency to make them. Unfortunately, the best I was able to do is an A skill and a B skill for Loyal Dog Kyla here. This is what maxed out Maxed Affinity looks like, and I think these are the 3 best Rift skills, though you may want to exchange the Lesser Charm one for the Reforged Mat one. I think with Unrecorded History and the new powder system for charms, maybe charms aren't as big of an issue for you as Reforged Mats. That's a personal decision you have to decide, but the other 2 are definitely best in slot. So let's jump into Rift mode. By the way, this is my favorite team so far. This is the one that I'm running. I have Roy up front tanking. My defense breaks are coming from Haste, and I'm bleeding like crazy with Surin. I think once Kane hits the scene, then Surin gets replaced by Kane, or Haste could get replaced by Kane, your choice. I think eventually once we hit high enough level, you might even be able to ditch the Soul Weaver and go pure damage, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about what Rift does. This is a chance for you to get custom sets as well as Reforged Mats, and there's a seasonal bonus. Now you get to select the 4 types of gear that drop from Rift. Universally accepted, these are your 4 best pieces. Now if you just do not ever want to farm Golem or Cadies, you could do this, but for real, everybody should pick these 4 sets as the best return on investment unless you're specifically hyper farming something. You do have to pick 4. You can't just pick 1 and be done. Next we talk about Rift Fragments. As you level up in Rift, you get increased damage. You can see in the bottom left corner there, I'm level 2, so I get 4% increased damage. I assume by level 20, or 21, which is max level, it'll be an 80% increase to damage. So as you level up, you will do more damage to Rift. And I can confirm that level 3 does do 8% damage, so I'm pretty sure level 21 will be 80% damage. Also, when I hit level 2, I got access to a fragment, which is allowing me to do 15% more damage. These fragments you can change. You can change your mind and swap them. There's no penalty for going back and forth. There's no currency loss or anything, so don't feel like if you pick the wrong one, you're screwing up. You can change them. These fragments make doing Rift easier and easier as we progress. Some of these give insane damage bonuses. Some of these give your ability to self-heal. Some of them are clearly targeted at Kane. Some of them are clearly targeted at Soul Weavers. They will make it easy to clear, and the theory is that by the time you get to level 20, you'll be able to farm this in one run, making it probably better than hunts. But getting to level 21 is going to be tough. The first two fragments you can see, here I'll just show you. You can back out, boom, there's the fragment. I can go back in and change it, and back out again, and it's changed. So there's no loss in it. I chose the damage one. The other option is additional healing, which isn't really a problem for me. And the other one is an extra debuff for the back row unit. This one gives a 70% crit damage boost to the front row warrior. This one gives the back row unit healing when it dual attack or extra attacks. And this one gives the front row unit 100% damage boost, but only for AoEs, clearly meant for Charlotte or Kane. There's other ones that boost the back row's chance to do extra attacks. And you can see here when we hit level 3, it now takes 90 currency to level up. This means whatever the level is times 30 is how much it's going to take to go up a level. So level 21 is probably going to take close to 630 experience points, and you get 30 per completed run. You get 10 currency per completed run, and I mean completed, you beat the boss, you get 10 currency. And at 2100 currency to get that last reward, you're talking about 21 completions at anywhere from 3 to 5 entries per completion. You're talking thousands and thousands of stamina worth of fights, so it's good that this lasts several months. So here's the first team. This is the free-to-play team. I think Kazran is your best Guardian, but for real, you're going to be doing this on auto, so who cares what Guardian you take. Make sure you load up your Rift pet. And as for a free-to-play team, I picked this one because they're all no 5-star accessible units. We're using Ras, everybody has him. I put him on the Sword of Azera artifact. You get this from the Hall of Trials shop. It's the best artifact for him. Arius does not work in Rift. All damage transfers are turned off. Ras self-heals on his S3 and gives defense buff, that's nice. Dual attacks are turned off, so this does nothing but give us a 60% chance to defense break. And his S1 strips, but the boss never has strippable buffs, so really his S1 and S2, or his S1 does nothing, his S2 is only a defense break, and his S3 is a little self-sustain. You build him very tanky. 105 effectiveness is the goal for maximum effect chance, so if you're using this team, try to get Ras up to 105% effectiveness, just to make that chance to defense break a little higher. Other than that, he's just there to soak up damage. The next unit we're going to run is Mascot Hazel, by far and away the best healer for Rift. 200% effect resistance is a really good idea because it keeps her from having skill cooldowns increased. Make sure your S2 and S3 is maxed out on healing. Her S1 you can go for the number 3 for effectiveness, but at 39% effectiveness, we don't have much chance of sticking that debuff. My favorite is Prophetic Candlestick. It cycles her skills fast, though you may want to consider Touch of Rekos. You might get a little bit more mileage out of Touch of Rekos. Your call. I really like Candlestick, and it's what I'm continuing to run. By now, you should definitely have picked up Mercedes. She is on here simply because she's a fantastic damage dealer. You want her relatively fast with a ton of damage and 100% crit chance, and really that's it. None of her skills do anything special other than damage. I like her on her own artifact for damage. She self-raises, and that's really nice. Gives you kind of a mulligan to start over in case she accidentally dies. She can come back and Hazel can heal her up. And the debuffer of the team is Surin. You need a lot of stackable debuffs, and I'll explain why when we get into the fight. But Surin has bleeds on her S2 and attack down on her S2. She has bleeds on her S3, and her S3 extends the duration of bleeds. Triggers all bleeding effects is not detonate. It means the bleeds all trigger and do damage, but they don't detonate and go away. She is safe to use on auto. Her S1 also has a chance for a couple of bleeds as well. I put her on Rage Set because I'm trying to rush damage. Alabastron is one of the best artifacts you can have on her because it also has decreased attack chance, decreased defense chance, slow, which the boss is immune to, so if you trigger slow, it doesn't do anything, or heal block. So it's good additional chances. You can also run Torn Sleeve on her. So this is how this fight goes. Again, this is a full auto team. On manual, you might be able to milk a little more out of it.
Purifying flame. Burn away the evil.
You'll help me, right?
So at the start, Ras uses his S3, gives everybody a defense buff. That helps out. Now let's take a second to talk about all of the skills. Annihilation Protocol will detonate any burns on your unit and decrease the debuffs on Xeon by 1 turn. And if you're wearing stealth, you take a boatload more damage. So don't use stealth units if you can avoid it. And try to have a cleanser to make sure you're not wearing burns when this goes off. Next is Termination. Termination attacks the enemy in the front row, and then anybody once the front row unit is dead. It penetrates defense by 50%, and if the target has less than 50% health, it does extra damage, like a pop-style damage. Dominion Obliteration is an AoE attack that dispels 2 buffs from your team and inflicts bleeds. And then Co-op Battle Manual. At the start of the battle, this inflicts Discord on all of your units. Discord means you're not allowed to dual attack. It looks like the seal icon, but it's not. Every 5th time you hit the boss, it'll trigger Co-op Manual. That is nice because it extends the debuffs on Xeon, which is important, but it also does damage. So you want to be careful that you do this enough to maintain your debuffs while not killing your whole team. And last, at the start of the battle, it grants 2 arc skills, which are undispellable and they last for 5 turns. Arc is 15% penetration per stack. So right now he's got 2 of them, so I've got 30% penetration on this boss. The trick to this fight is not letting him get a lot of the arc skills, and that's why we're taking debuffs. We're actually fighting against the AI by loading him up with so many debuffs that he can't get more arcs. You're only allowed to have 10 status effects on you at a time, and he's got 2, so if I put 8 debuffs on him, he can never get a 3rd arc. Unfortunately, he takes a turn first. Now he's got a 3rd arc, but we put a whole bunch of bleeds and an attack down. Ras does not get us an attack break. We don't get a heal block off Hazel. We're attacked again. Now there are 4 arcs and 5 debuffs, so we're up to 9.
Obey me. Obey me. How about
Surin
you just give up?
applies nothing.
Oh, come
Go
on.
Surin. Okay, there. That is 10 status effects. 4 arcs and 6 debuffs. So no matter what happens, he cannot get any more arcs. And the goal is that as the arcs drop away, we add more debuffs. In a perfect world, you'd like one of these debuffs to be a defense break, but Ras got resisted, which means we won't do as much damage. So we're running about 60% defense penetration because of the 4 stacks of arcs, but in 2 rounds they'll fall away and hopefully we'll add more.
Please hurry. It's urgent.
Hazel keeps everybody healthy with her S2, Sword of Azera keeps Ras alive. Surin keeps stacking the bleeds. And remember, Surin's S3 extends the bleeds, so that combined with that skill right there, you'll notice everybody's bleeds went up to 3 and 2. That extended when Xeon did his I've been hit 5th time counterattack.
Obey me. Oh, no.
Hazel is just simply the best healer for this. She's a consistent healer who applies attack buff to everybody and greater attack buff.
Obey me. Obey me.
Mercedes does a lot of damage with her extra attacks. And there, see, we added more bleeds, and we got a defense break from Ras, so that's fantastic. So now we have 10 debuffs, and only 3 of them are the arc debuffs, are the arc effects. So now we're only at, what, 45% penetration, so we're taking less damage, and that makes it easier to stay alive. Where you die quickly on this is when you have 4, 5, or 6 arcs. It's hard to survive with that much penetration coming in.
Obey
Now
me.
you'll notice in the upper right hand corner
Obey
beside
me.
Xeon's profile
let's do
picture is a big number 7. It's because he's got 7 more HP bars left. We're halfway through the 7th HP bar.
my
He
way.
starts with 8. So you basically have to kill him, what, 9 times? Once you get that HP bar down to where it says ×0, you take that last HP bar down and he's dead. Now you notice in the upper left hand corner we've got 10 rounds left, and that's 10 actions for us. The enemy taking an action doesn't count as an action, and counterattacks don't count as an action, but every time you take an active turn, that counter reduces by 1. This is what I like about Mercedes. Even if she dies, she comes back. Unfortunately, the boss does cleanse himself at some point. You start having to put up with arcs, and you hope you can get your debuffs up fast enough to mitigate it.
No destiny can stop me.
But we've only got 4 turns left, really. I'm not too worried about the debuffs. We got an attack break, or defense break, which is great. That was the Alabastron artifact that did that. Only 1 turn left, and this is that turn, and boom, 0 turns left, and all of our units just teleport out. We're yoinked out of the world, and we get a completion. It shows the damage done, but we're not done yet. Now you'll notice the stamina to retry dropped from 40 to 20. Each additional attack only takes 20 stamina instead of the 40, so it's 40 for the first fight, and then 20 for additional ones. I went ahead and just full-on restarted to show off this team. This team is a little less free to play, but we're running the same Mascot Hazel as before. This time I'm trying Ken in the front instead of Ras. I'm going to use Fire Ken because he's an HP scaler, so I can make him super tanky. Now he doesn't have any effectiveness, but the defense break on his S2 ignores ER when he has Vigor, and his S3 gives Vigor. I won't get any burns or decrease attacks or defense breaks off his S1 with that low of an effectiveness. I'd have to raise his effectiveness for those skills, and I put him on Golden Rose as a form of self-sustain. And we're also going to run Haste this time. Haste is kind of made for this. Haste has a defense break on his S3, and he inflicts 2 bleeding effects. His S2 also has Vampiric Touch and Heal Block, both debuffs that count towards our goal, and he self-heals. And his S1 has a chance to defense break as well. He's got 72% effectiveness, but that's because I'm running him on Alabastron, which gives us an additional 35, so that takes him up to 107 effectiveness over the 105 effectiveness cap. And Alabastron also has 3 debuffs that can stick. He's immune to slow, so the speed down doesn't work. I like him on his S3, on his number 3 EE, because it makes the bleeds from our S3 last longer. You can maybe run him on his S1 for more chance to defense break, but I don't think it's worth. If you don't have a second Alabastron, you can go with Torn Sleeve on Surin, but Torn Sleeve gives no effectiveness, so I've got Surin above 105 E effectiveness. In fact, she's overcapped. And at the start of the fight, we get the attack buff. Haste goes first because of the speed imprint. Hopefully we get a defense break. We do defense break and 2 bleeds. That's great. Ken does some damage. My Surin was a little bit slow. If I sped her up, this would be more consistent. Hopefully we get a ton of bleeds here. And we got nothing. We got 15% out on every single one of her debuffs.
On my way.
But we got a ton from this one, and there we go. If you see 2 on the bottom, you're maxed out. You can only have 8 status effects on the top row, so if you whenever you see 2 status effects on the second row, you know you're capped out. That's 10 status effects. He can no longer get any more arcs. Now, if you're manualing this, you could probably just use the S1 skill, but I wanted to run this on full auto. And you can see we're already at the 30 turn mark, and we've almost cleared the first bar. As long as you get the defense break up, that is key. There's the AoE attack that extends buffs. You'll notice all of the debuffs went up a turn. Our attack break, or attack down, or sure, our defense break went to 2. A lot of our bleeds went to 3.
Please hurry. It's urgent.
He does the big attack. We've only got 1 turn left on the arc, so hopefully those arcs drop away and we can replace them with some bleeds. He does his big bang attack. Okay, we're down to 2. We need to get some debuffs on the board. Come on, haste.
I will kill them all.
Break and 2 bleeds. We didn't get the break. That's really disappointing. But we got the 2 bleeds.
How about
Show me what you got, Surin. And only 1 bleed. Man. 15% in PvE, am I right?
Just as planned.
And there's an arc effect, unfortunately. Ken gives himself vigor, which is nice, because when his S2 comes around again, it's a guaranteed defense break. So hopefully he laps.
Is it already over?
Oh, nice. We got a buff block, and there we go. So no... Oh, nope. We lost a buff. Okay, so unfortunately no defense breaks. There's no room for them, so it won't apply. Even though Ken's a guaranteed defense break, we just don't get it when there's no room for more status effects. We've got 4 arcs, which is right on the edge of what I like. 4 arcs is a little tough to live through, but 5 is just deadly. Coming down to 12 turns left, we cleared 1 3/4 bars. Mascot Hazel heals everyone up. We apply... Okay, we're down to 5 status effects. We're going to start losing units now, I'm afraid. We got our defense break off Ken. Nice. If we can live long enough to see that arc fall away. The arc falls away and we replace it with, hopefully, a bleed. Good. We got the bleed. Surin died, but we are down to 3 hits left, so I'm not really worried about people dying at this point, because we're going to clear 2 turns left, and there's the last attack, and everybody is teleported out of the fight. So, about 25% from that team. 25% damage. Not that great, but hey, you could run this team, what, 4 times, and you'll clear? So that's 40... 60, 80, so 100 stamina per clear. Here is my favorite team. We're going to tank with Roy Mustang. Roy Mustang works great at this because he has that Tempest Surin style passive where you can't do more than half of his damage, and he's a mage so he can wear Chatty. So let's take a look at this unit. With Chatty, he gives himself shields. All he needs is damage, right? His S3 has no debuffs. His S1 has no debuffs. You do want his S2 maxed out so that you don't take more than 51% damage. You want him decently fast and on Chatty so he stays alive. We're running the same Hazel as before. We're running the same Haste as before. We're running the same Surin as before. You can check back at the timestamps if you want to see their gear again. Only thing we've changed here is running Roy.
Just as planned.
So Haste applies his debuffs. Do we get a defense break? Nice. We got all 3 debuffs.
How about
And then Surin gives us more debuffs. We got 1 more bleed. And then Surin tops us off. Now we're at a full complement of bleeds, or a full complement of debuffs. We've got the stats bar loaded to 10, so we can no longer get any more arcs. And the best part is we've gotten a defense break, so if we keep forcing him to dual attack and extending the debuffs, we'll maintain that defense break for a while. Roy dropping good damage. 3 turns left on the arcs, so it'll be a while before we can replace it. Attack extends the debuff durations. Surin tops the bleed off, so we're back to 10. Roy's damage is just fantastic here. Prophetic Candlestick doing its work. We haven't seen a S1 out of Mascot Hazel in a while. So we're all the way through 1.5 bars at the 20 turn mark, so that's way ahead of schedule. Yikes, Haste almost died there.
The hell's like
Defense break and bleeds. More bleeds.
I will destroy everything.
Surin, top us off here, please. One more bleed. Don't die, Surin. Yikes, that's close. Mascot Hazel can top everyone off with her S3, giving out attack buffs and gabs to Roy. There we go. Now we're back to 10 debuffs or 10 status effects, and we're stabilized. No additional arcs.
Is it already over?
Okay, we've already exceeded the damage of the free-to-play team. That's why this is my favorite team. Chatty doing its work.
Come on.
Hazel keeping everyone topped off.
Let's get it over with.
You can see why I like Prophetic Candlestick in this. There's so many AoE counterattacks that even at a 40% chance to go off, Candlestick seems to be pretty consistent on her. Big bang attack, which cleanses most of the debuffs, so we've got to get debuffs back on. He's up to 4 arcs, unfortunately. But we're down to 5 turns left, so if people start dying, we're fine. We've already done a great amount of damage to the bar. I'm not worried about
kill them all.
I'm not worried about people dying with only 3 rounds left in the fight. Nice that we get one more defense break off of Haste before the end. Hazel gives us greater attack buff.
You just give up.
One good hit, and show me a good solid blast, Roy. There we go. So we went from 74% down to 37%, so about a 35% jump. I like this team because with a little bit of luck, it can clear in 3 runs. Now let's try using the same team, but this time we're going to put Fire Ravi up front instead of Roy. Her EE doesn't matter. Literally, all the E's are trash, right? Chance to strip 1 debuff, chance to make he unbuffable if he's immune, and chance to stun. He can't stick that buff, he's immune. So just pick whatever EE you want. Running on Sigurd's for extra healing. I've got her mullet up for extra healing on her S1. Her S3 really isn't that big of a deal. Her S2 is a bonus, and the reason I say that is we're turning her skills off. Because S3 doesn't do any more damage than the S1, and the S1 heals. Again, we're running the same Hazel, and we're running the same Surin. Check back at the timestamps for their builds. And we're also running Fire, Baal&Sezan. He is serving the same purpose as Haste. He's got a defense break and a heal block. His EE makes that defense break 90% as opposed to Haste 85. His S1 is a poison, which has no effect. He's immune, and his S2 is just damage. But we can run him on Edika's Scepter, so he'll cycle his skills faster than Haste. So it's a toss-up. I think Haste is just naturally better, but because of expeditions, more people might have Baal&Sezan built. You can use either one.
My lady.
So at the start of the fight, we stick a defense break and a heal block. That's the best we can expect out of Haste, or out of Baal&Sezan. It's 1 less debuff than Haste, but it works. Surin gives us a ton of debuffs, and we're already at 10, so we don't have to worry about him getting any more arcs.
Bones to sand.
Just some damage.
Blood to dust.
Sigurd's Scythe is ready on Ravi. Notice we have Ravi's skills turned off.
I will destroy everything.
Surin extends the bleeds. Ravi heals up with her S1. Edika's Scepter procs, so Sezan and Baal are able to do their S3 again, though the debuffs are already there, so it doesn't really help anything except for damage. Same strategy as the Haste and Roy team. The difference is we are running Ravi for damage and Baal&Sezan for healing. This team is a little bit more stable, but a little bit less damage. You can't beat a greater attack buff Roy up front, just dropping nukes on people. But he is a limited collab unit, so I wanted to show a secondary option.
Let's get it over with. On my way.
My lady.
Extending the defense break and the heal block by reapplying them. They're 2 turns now. low on health. Make sure you make your units somewhat tanky to survive all these attacks. Hazel's a pretty good healer, but there's only so much she can do. We're down to 1 arc effect. If we can get a few more debuffs on him. I don't think it's going to happen. We're down to 2. That'll apply another arc effect. With two arc effects we can handle. That's only 30%.
Please hurry. It's urgent.
We are still going with 17 turns left. Come on, Surin, give me a pile of debuffs. That is no debuffs.
Are you ready,
Wow.
my lady?
I love 15% in PvE, don't you guys? And we didn't get the heal block either, so we've only got 3 debuffs and another arc effect is applied because he had room for it. Topping up the healing. There we go. Back to 10 status effects, so no more arcs. I'm fine with 3 arcs. I could even deal with 4. More than 4 is devastating.
Fall away.
Magnificent.
Just as planned.
I've seen a lot of people trying to run Tamarin in place of Mascot Hazel. She can work. I don't think she's as good as Hazel. Tamarin just gives attack buffs. Hazel gives greater attack buffs. It happens right out of the gate instead of waiting for Tam's skills to stack up. Tam doesn't have a heal on her S1. Mascot Hazel has heals on all of her skills as long as Prophetic Candlestick keeps proccing. And she's a more consistent healer. Now, if you're manualing, Tam's nice because you can soul burn her S1 for healing. And we pop out, and that was about 26% damage, so every bit as good as the first team, if not a little bit better, a little bit more stable. We just have a little bit left to do on this one, so I'm going to show one more team where we're putting Ed in the back. I put Ed on Golden Rose and on Lifesteal. That should keep him healthy. He can throw those burns back. The boss is vulnerable to burns, and he can give some additional debuffs his own, random debuffs they throws back. Now, unfortunately, the boss is immune to so many debuffs, he doesn't throw a ton back, but between his barriers and the throwbacks and Golden Rose, he should stay alive pretty good. And we're going to put Charlotte in the front. Charlotte is a great deep... Ooh, she needs an artifact. I'm going to use the Sword of Azera artifact on her to help her stay alive because she is not super tanky. Charlotte is a great unit for this. She packs a lot of damage and she's self-attack buffs. I like using her number 2 EE to assist with that, and Sword of Azera to keep her alive. Just max out all of her skills. Everything is damage and fighting spirit, and with as often as you get hit, you should practically be non-stop flinging Gale Winds, which also come with a heal block. Makes her exceptional in this fight. Again, the same Mascot Hazel we've been running and the same Fire Surin we've been running. You can check prior stat builds to get more details on them. And here we go with the last fight. So Ed just dropping some damage in.
Away with you.
Now, Charlotte doesn't do as much damage as Roy, but she does more damage than Ras and probably Fire Ravi.
On my way.
We are lacking a lot of debuffs. We're relying solely on Surin for our debuffs, so we are probably going to experience a lot more of the arc skills. In fact, we're up to 4 arc skills now.
Oh, come on.
Do we get a heal block from our Gale Wind?
I will destroy
We do not, but
everything.
Surin runs her S3, and we get 15% on all of her skills. Yikers. And we're up to 5 arcs. This attack can't... Okay, so we've extended the debuffs. We just gotta try to weather the storm of 5 arcs. That's a lot of damage. Thankfully, our team is very tanky. A lot of penetration. Mascot Hazel gives the greater attack buffs back.
Just as planned.
We got one more round and a lot of those arcs fall away. I think we would have been okay if Surin's skills had stuck. go, we're up to 9 debuffs, and now we're bound to 0. But you know what? Even though I'm not sure we could have taken this to completion, it's the end of the fight, and that kills the boss down to 0 health bars left, and we get a full completion. So there's 5 different teams for you. Upon the full completion, you get experience points. You see 30 experience points takes us to halfway to level 3. I am pretty sure that the experience point system is 30 times the level. So level 3 to level 4 will probably be 90 experience points, and level 20 to level 21 will probably be 630 experience points, and you only get 30 per run, and you only get 10 currency for the season reward per run. Now, when you're talking about getting to level 8 and level 15 and level 21 to get these additional devices, you're going to have to suffer through a lot of stamina. But take heart, it's around for 4 to 6 months. There's no reason to blast through this in the first few weeks. It's not like Expedition where you're worried about clearing the board in the first month. The seasonal reward board will be around for months. So just chip away at it. Do a little bit every day. Make it part of your daily routine, just like your daily quests or web events. Don't make this a big deal. And you'll eventually get there. 4 to 6 months is a long time. I definitely would not refresh for this. When you eventually get to the point where you're level 21, I suspect this will be farmable. The skills are so strong at level 21 that you'll probably be able to set a team that clears it in 1 round. 2 tops, but probably 1 round, and that makes it farmable. That makes it maybe as valuable, if not more valuable, than Wyverns, since you can target the sets you want and get additional things. We will have to see. The reward board is nice. It's very similar to the Expo reward board, but this is per season. This doesn't reset every month, it resets every season, every 4 to 6 months. 2,100 points when you only get 10 points, that's 210 boss kills. At 3 to 5 runs per boss, that is 20 to 40 stamina per fight, 3 to 5,000 stamina to get to this point. Seems like a lot, but again, remember, across 4 to 6 months. Hopefully this guide and these teams help you with this event. I know it's frustrating. I know it's annoying with how hard it is. They made it this hard because it's got to last for months. They didn't want content that was cleared in a few days when they're designing it to be a quarterly or semi-annual thing. We assume the next season will involve a different boss. Maybe they're going to do Crom Cruise or Kazran. Maybe we'll be beating the pus out of Arky next time. It's hard to say if they'll even continue to use the Guardian theme, but it's nice that they're giving us new and different challenging stuff. I know there's a lot of hate for this event out there right now, and I can completely understand it. It's not really hard. It's just really slow. And it's not really expensive. It's just really expensive if you force it, if you try to do it right away. Don't. Take it slow, take it easy, and chip away at it a little bit at a time, and enjoy the rewards from it. And on a final thought, these 2 are kind of your main units. You're going to use Fire Surin, and you're going to use Hazel +2. You can replace Hazel with Acades, you can replace Hazel with Tamarin, but it makes it kind of manual or less consistent. My favorite team is still Roy and Haste. I think I will probably replace Surin with Kane when he comes out. When I get to the point where healing's not so much of a problem, I might even replace Hazel with Kane. Because once you start picking up all these devices, it gets a little bit easier. And by a little bit, I mean a whole lot easier. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this guide. I hope it helps you guys out. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. If you have any team ideas, please share them with the chat. I know there's some clever things going around. I even saw somebody point out that Godmother is a fantastic option because she's loaded with debuffs and she's a unit that doesn't require Molagora. So maybe this is your replacement for Haste or Baal&Sezan. She's a ranger, so she can wear a defense-breaking artifact or even a target artifact. And final thought is, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great one, everybody.